Berkshire has, in my opinion, the best and most loyal shareholders of any publicly traded company or mutual fund. How do you attract and retain a shareholder base, particularly when many of the same behavioral tendencies that produce mispriced securities also produce fleet-footed shareholders? Thank you.
Yeah, the interesting thing about marketable securities is that basically anybody can buy them. I mean, you might elect to join somebody and buying a McDonald's franchise or a farm or an apartment house or something. But if you're running a public company, you can have anybody from Osama bin Laden, to the Pope as your shareholder. I mean, they elect it. You don't elect them; they elect you. Now, if you want a shareholder body that is going to be in sync with you, it's important that, in my view, it's important that you let them know exactly what sort of institution you plan to run. And we've got the annual reports, we've got television interviews, we've got various ways of conveying to people what kind of a place Berkshire is. And to some that says come in, and to others it says stay out. Phil Fisher wrote a great book on investing back in the very early 1960s, and he described the situation this way. He said, look, you can have a restaurant, and it can say French food, and if you have French food inside, people are you're going to get a satisfied and returning clientele, and you can have another one that says hamburgers. But what you can't do is have hamburgers on the outside on the marquee and deliver French food inside. And so many companies sort of try and promise everything to everybody. Their investor relations department tells them that any shareholder they can get interested, they want. We want people who think the way we do. And we think on balance, we won't disappoint them too much. But if we get a bunch of people that think that the earnings next quarter are going to be up 10% for some reason, and that's the reason they own the stock, we're going to have a lot of disappointed people. And our goal in life is not to spend our time associating with people that are going to be disappointed with us. And if it's our fault if we give out the wrong advertisement. So we try to advertise what we are, and then we try to deliver on that. And I do think we have the best group of shareholders in the world, among large publicly traded companies. And I think it's because we've got people that basically look into buying a business, becoming our partners over the years, and they know we'll treat them like partners, and they in turn give us a lot of comfort in having a stable shareholder base and a good feeling about just running the whole place. Charlie?
Well, what happened here is, to some extent, an accident. Warren and I started out investing money for our families and friends, and the people who trusted us when we were young and unknown, of course, we developed a strong affection for. And we morphed into controlling public companies from that base. And so we tend to regard our shareholders, including the new ones, as family. And that's not put on. That's the way we regard you. Other people can't do that because they morphed into their situation in a different way. And if you were a CEO and dealt with the average institutional investor who is interested in having his portfolio management look good the next 6 months, you'd find it hard to love your shareholders. There's sort of a hostile force that are putting unreasonable expectations on you. And so I don't think Warren and I deserve such wonderful credit for the fact that we have better relations with our shareholders. We came up in a totally different way. Now, we did have enough sense when we saw that it was such a good thing and so satisfying that we stayed with it. Warren, we got into this by accident, didn't we?
Yeah, we got in by accident. And we also were blessed with the fact that we did not have an investor relations department that wanted us to go out and pump up.
But that was on purpose.
Yeah. Yeah. I have seen them in operation at dozens of companies I've been involved in one way or another. I mean, it is really ridiculous. The idea that you go out and try and cater to the expectations of people that are expecting you to do things you can't do by operations, but maybe you can do by accounting for a short period of time. It leads to worse behavior. And in the end, somebody's going to own all your shares. You know, there's no way that shares remain empty, you know, in the shareholder list. So why not get a bunch of people who are going to stick with you, who are in sync? And the way they're going to be in sync is if you told them rather accurately what you expect, how you expect to do it, and tell them when you make mistakes, all of that.
But we probably shouldn't be as critical of people who came up a different way, dealing with a different shareholder face. It's not at all clear that we wouldn't have ended up somewhat the same way if we'd had the same manner of rising.
Sure. Yeah. So we'll be give up being critical for the next 5 or 10 minutes, and then we'll go back. Carol?